What if I told you that healing doesn't start when she leaves, but when you stop waiting? This isn't a story about no contact. It's not about silence or hoping she'll regret walking away. It's about something far more powerful, something she never saw coming. You rebuilt. Untouchable, unrecognizable in the best way. Because this time, you don't wait by your phone. You don't shrink in heartbreak. You don't play the role of the man she left behind. You become the man she'll never touch again. And when she looks back, expecting you to still be there, she won't find heartbreak. She'll find emptiness. Because you've moved on so far, so silently, that even her memory can't reach you anymore. This isn't revenge. This is rebirth. So if you've ever been left, overlooked, or underestimated, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you won't just understand what went wrong. You'll become the kind of man who doesn't need them to come back. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below. This is the beginning of me. Part 1. The Fall. A Man Broken by Love. It happened in late autumn, somewhere in the suburbs of Milwaukee, when the leaves were dying in shades of fire. He never saw it coming. One day she was there, laughing with him in diners off I-94, curled up on the couch watching reruns of Friends, kissing him with the kind of promise you think only exists in novels. And the next, she was gone. No fight, no tearful goodbye, just a text. 3 short lines, cold, final. It felt less like a breakup and more like an execution. He stood in the parking lot of a Target, her message still glowing on his phone. Around him, life moved on. People pushed carts, joked about coupons, argued over cereal brands. But for him, time froze, and he was alone. That night, the silence was deafening. The bed too big, the air too heavy. He scrolled through old photos, watched her stories just to see her smile one more time, even if it wasn't for him. He told himself it was temporary, that maybe she was just confused, that surely she'd remember what they had and come back. But the days turned to weeks, and she didn't. She moved on, effortlessly, posting new pictures, new friends, new cities. Meanwhile, he unraveled in secret. He stopped shaving, stopped sleeping, ate fast food on the floor of his 1-bedroom apartment in silence, while his heart played reruns of her laugh like a ghost that refused to leave. He replayed it all, every conversation, every moment, every tiny detail, searching for where he went wrong. Was I too available, too emotional, not enough? He tortured himself with questions that had no answers. That's when his friends gave him the classic advice: go no contact. Disappear. She'll miss you. That's how you win. And so, he tried. He deleted her number, blocked her on everything, forced himself not to type those late-night "I miss you" texts he'd never send anyway. He called it strength. But here's the part no one talks about. He wasn't free. He was just quiet. Because even in the silence, his mind still screamed her name. He didn't reach out, but he waited. He didn't text, but he hoped. Every vibration on his phone made his heart jump, and every time it wasn't her, it shattered him again. He told himself he was healing, but in truth he was just holding his breath. Because silence is not power when your heart is still anchored to someone who already left. It's not strength when every day is just another form of waiting. That's when it hit him. No contact wasn't the cure. It was just a prettier form of pain, and that's where everything begins to shift. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I master my emotions. Part 2. The truth about no contact. No contact. It's the phrase people throw around like a cure-all. Just ignore her, they said. She'll come running back. He heard it in every guy's group chat from New Jersey to Nevada. It sounded logical, simple. Like if he vanished, she'd somehow see the light. So he did what they all do. He deleted, blocked, silenced. Disappeared from her world like a ghost at midnight. But here's what no one warned him about. You can block someone without ever setting them free. And you can disappear while still being completely consumed. Because the truth is, he didn't go no contact. He went silent hope. Every day he imagined her scrolling through his Instagram, missing him, wondering, regretting. He pictured the moment she'd text, "I've been thinking about you." But it never came. And as winter settled in around his Denver apartment, he realized something darker. She wasn't wondering. She wasn't missing. She had simply moved on. Because no contact isn't magic. It only works if you actually let go. And most men don't. They use it like a fishing line, hoping that absence will bait her back. But hope, when misused, becomes a chain. And silence, when still tied to expectation, is just quiet desperation. He began to see it clearly while walking along Cherry Creek Trail one late afternoon. The wind cold on his skin, his thoughts even colder. He wasn't healing. He was waiting in disguise. And women, they can feel it. That lingering energy, that silent craving. She knew he was still watching, still hurting, still orbiting her world, hoping she'd notice. So she didn't come back. Why would she? There's no attraction in a man who needs her to feel whole. There's no mystery in someone who's emotionally tethered, even in silence. And when she did test the waters, a just checking in message, a like on an old photo, a casual "hope you're well" text, he felt the surge of adrenaline. He thought, this is it. But it wasn't. Because she wasn't curious out of care. She was checking her power. And when he responded too quickly, too eagerly, she walked away again. Stronger, colder, confirmed. That was the moment everything broke. And in its place, something else was born. Clarity. The kind that comes not when you wait, but when you finally stop waiting. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I need no one. I choose myself. Part 3. The power of indifference. Beyond no contact. He was still checking her profile on his lunch break. Still pausing when a car passed that looked like hers. Still crafting messages in his mind he'd never send. No contact hadn't set him free. It had only turned his pain into silence. Until one morning, something shifted. He was sitting alone at a booth in a sleepy diner in coastal Maine, half listening to the clinking of silverware and the low hum of a Pats game on the radio. And in that moment it hit him, not as a scream but as a whisper. She's not coming back. And more importantly, you don't need her to. That was the day he let her go, not in a dramatic post, not in some grand gesture, but in the quiet refusal to care anymore. It wasn't that he hated her. Hate is still an attachment. It was that she no longer held weight, no longer had influence. And that is indifference. You see, no contact is absence, but indifference is power. Because silence can still be a strategy. But indifference, it's a conclusion. He stopped asking why. Stopped wondering who she was with. Stopped checking if she'd seen his stories or liked an old post. He didn't block her. He didn't try to erase her out of bitterness. He just stopped caring if she ever looked again. And slowly he rebuilt, not with vengeance, not to prove a point, but because there was a whole life waiting for him beyond the wreckage. He took up boxing in an old gym near Brooklyn Bridge, started sleeping better, smiled at strangers, read books he used to say he never had time for. And one day, she noticed. She looked at his page, and instead of quotes or sad songs or indirect jabs, she saw a man, whole, unbothered, radiating something she couldn't name. It burned, because she expected stillness, expected that deep down he'd still be waiting, still suffering. But he had become something more dangerous than bitter. He had become unreachable. And here's the truth. When someone who once adored you now walks past you like a stranger, that's when the panic sets in. Because people don't fear silence. They fear being forgotten. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I am untouchable. Part 4. The Dark Side of Attraction. Why They Always Come Back. She thought she knew how this story would end. She imagined him sulking in the same Seattle apartment they once shared, scrolling through old texts, watching her life from a distance, waiting for the day she might feel bored or nostalgic enough to return. And in a way, she was right. At first. Because that's how most men respond when love is pulled from beneath them. They ache in silence. They wait behind locked screens. They shrink themselves, hoping to be noticed again. But not this time. Not this man. He didn't beg. He didn't try to remind her of the nights they spent under the fairy lights on their shared balcony, or the mornings they'd walk to Pike Place Market just to share one cinnamon roll. No. He vanished. Not out of revenge, but out of realization. At first, she barely noticed. She was too caught up in the thrill of being free, dinner dates with new men, filtered selfies, fast laughs with people who didn't know her well enough to see the cracks. In her mind, he was still there, just in the background, still hurting, still waiting, until she checked, and he was gone. Not bitter, not broadcasting his healing, just unreachable. No sad lyrics, no digital breadcrumbs, no signs that she still lived in his world. That's when something inside her shifted. Not love, not guilt, but doubt. Because here's the twisted truth about attraction. We crave what we can't control. She had believed he'd always be there, like a lighthouse she could drift back to when the tides of her new life got too wild. But now that light had gone out, and the darkness made her curious. She scrolled through his profile more often, looking for clues. She liked an old photo, sent a "Hey, remember this" DM, tested the waters not to reconnect but to measure her reach. Would he respond? Would he still melt at her touch, even through a screen? But he didn't. Or if he did, it was brief, polite, as if she were no different than a distant acquaintance at a gas station asking for directions. And that's what gutted her. Because nothing destroys the ego more than knowing someone you once had completely no longer flinches at your presence. She didn't come back because she missed him. She came back because she hated losing her grip. And when she realized she no longer had it, it broke her more than silence ever could. Because in this game of human hearts, the cruelest kind of loss is not being left, it's being forgotten. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I am the prize. Part 5. The Stoic Transformation. Turning pain into power. In a quiet garage in Des Moines, Iowa, cold tools lined the wall. The radio played old Springsteen songs, and a man stood shirtless in front of a cracked mirror. It had been 3 months since she left. He still remembered the sound of her suitcase zipping shut, the echo of the door clicking behind her. But now something had changed. He didn't want her back. He didn't want closure. He wanted strength. Not the kind that flexes, but the kind that doesn't break, no matter how hard the world pushes. This was no longer about her. This was about him. You see, for most men, heartbreak becomes a trap. They get stuck in the loops, replaying moments, reliving memories, wondering if they'd just said or done one thing differently. Would she still be there? But he was done circling the past like a buzzard over an empty field. So he did what very few do. He turned inward, to rebuild, to transform. He started with the one thing he could control, his mind. At first, it was podcasts on Stoicism during his morning drive to work. Then books, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Viktor Frankl. At night, while others scrolled and searched, he sat with silence and a yellow notepad, writing out every lie he'd once told himself. I wasn't enough. If I just waited, she'd come back. This pain will last forever. Each one, dissected, debunked, burned, and then came the body. The gym wasn't therapy. It was the battlefield. He pushed iron like he was pushing against every rejection, every memory that once owned him. And with every rep, every bead of sweat dripping onto cold cement, he wasn't punishing himself. He was reclaiming himself. His posture changed. His voice settled. His eyes no longer searched crowds for her face. And most importantly, he stopped hoping. Because the Stoic man doesn't beg for the past to return. He builds a future so powerful, so peaceful, that the past loses all meaning. People around him started to notice. He didn't brag. He didn't post progress selfies or write captions about being better without her. He just lived differently. moved differently. And one day she noticed too. She saw a photo someone else posted at a 4th of July barbecue. He was laughing, relaxed, effortless. But there was something new in his face, not coldness, not bitterness, stillness. The kind you can't fake. The kind that comes when a man no longer needs anything from anyone. That's when she realized he wasn't hers anymore. And maybe he never truly was. Because this time his growth wasn't a reaction. It was a rebirth. And rebirth never asks permission. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. Pain makes me stronger. Part 6. The Silent Domination. Winning without words. In Charleston, South Carolina, there's a quiet corner cafe where the regulars come for strong coffee and stronger gossip. He used to sit in that cafe with her, knees touching beneath the table, whispering secrets between sips. But now he walks in alone. And when he does, people notice. Not because he's loud, not because he tries, but because he no longer needs to be seen. That's the thing about real transformation. It speaks for itself. He didn't post poetic quotes about healing, didn't go on a self-love spree for the camera. He simply moved forward, silently, steadily, like a man who knew where he was going and no longer needed directions from the past. This is the art of silent domination. The kind of strength that doesn't need to roar. He didn't block her, didn't untag photos, didn't make a scene. He just stopped showing up where he used to orbit her world. He stopped watching her stories, stopped reacting to her breadcrumbs, stopped feeding the ghost of who she used to be. And that's what shook her, because she expected echoes, expected bitter glances and subtle signs, expected him to prove something. But he gave her nothing. No closure, no explanations, not even a final goodbye. He simply vanished from her emotional radar like a ship that had already reached shore. That kind of absence, it doesn't scream, it haunts. She told herself at first he was faking it, that it was all for show, that soon he'd break and come crawling back like every other man she left behind. But weeks turned into months, and all she saw was progress. Not for her, not at her, just without her. And here's the truth she couldn't accept. The man she once knew no longer existed. She started asking around, "Have you seen him lately? Is he seeing someone?" She started checking his social media, not for updates, but for evidence that she still mattered. But all she found was silence, not curated silence, not performative healing, just absence. Clean, complete, unbothered. That's when the regret came, not because she lost him, but because he never needed to prove she was a mistake. His life did that for him, because the most dangerous man in any room is not the loudest. It's the one who has nothing to prove, who wins not through words, but through presence. And when she finally reaches out, he won't reply with anger. He won't reply with hope. He won't reply at all, because he's not ignoring her to hurt her. He's ignoring her because she simply doesn't matter anymore. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I let my actions speak. Part 7. The Social Shift, Creating an Aura of Mystery. He could have vanished. He could have blocked her, deleted every trace, gone ghost like the rest. But in San Diego, where the sunsets are too golden to waste and the beaches still hold memories of long walks and salt-stained promises, he chose a different path. He didn't disappear. He evolved in plain sight. You see, vanishing makes sense to the heartbroken. It says, "I'm hurt, so I hide." But mystery makes people question what they thought they knew. Before, he was an open book. Text replies in minutes. Photos full of shared moments. Predictable, gentle, familiar. Now, he was a puzzle, a man shown in fragments. An Instagram story of him on a rooftop in downtown LA, lit by city lights, drink in hand, no caption. A picture hiking alone in Zion, face half shadowed by the setting sun. A post from a friend's wedding, him in a charcoal suit, smiling, untouched by the lens of heartbreak. There were no sad quotes, no passive-aggressive memes, no desperate cries for attention. Just curated distance, selective presence, power in subtlety. And that's what made her spiral. Because a man who posts for pity, you can dismiss him. But a man who posts like he's too busy living to explain, that man becomes a riddle. She started watching again. Not with longing, but with need. Is he seeing someone? Why does he look lighter? Was he always this calm? And most of all, did I ever really know him? That's the magic of the social shift. You don't erase yourself. You become unreadable. Because people don't obsess over what they understand. They obsess over what confuses them, what they can't quite define. And here's the catch. He wasn't doing any of it for her. He wasn't trying to win her back. He wasn't baiting her attention. He simply no longer needed to be understood. And when a man no longer explains himself, he becomes unforgettable. She used to think she had him figured out, but now he was something else entirely. Unreachable, untouchable, unfolding without her. And that's what haunted her most. Not that he changed, but that he changed without her. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I am a mystery. Part 8. The ultimate test. When she reaches out. It always happens. Maybe it's a lazy Sunday morning in Nashville when she's sipping coffee and scrolling through old photos. Maybe it's after a long night out when the laughter fades and the silence creeps in. Or maybe it's the moment she sees his name again, tagged in a post, smiling, radiant, real. That's when it begins. A like on a picture from months ago. A casual, hey, remember this DM? A heart emoji under a song they once shared. Small things, harmless things, but make no mistake, it's a test. She wants to know if he's still there, still waiting. Still hers in the quiet way women hope a man never really moves on. Most men fail here. They see the message and feel that rush, that desperate burning rush of maybe. They mistake it for regret, for a second chance, for love. And so they respond too quickly, too warmly, too willingly. They open the door wide, forgetting how cold it felt when she closed it. But not him. Because this man, he's not the same. The one who once stared at the ceiling every night wondering what he did wrong. The one who used to flinch at every memory. The one who prayed for her return like salvation. That man is gone. So when she reaches out, he doesn't crumble. His fingers don't hover above the screen, heart pounding. He doesn't check his hair, his heart, or the past. He doesn't prepare some perfectly measured reply. He simply breathes, smiles, and lets the silence do the talking. Or if he answers at all, it's brief, polite, unavailable. Hope you're doing well. No warmth, no hooks, no invitation. She's not being ignored out of spite. She's being dismissed out of growth. And that more than anything is what unravels her. Because she expected a reaction, expected eagerness, expected a man still clinging to old hopes. Instead, she's met with peace. Not bitterness, not longing, indifference. And suddenly, she's the one with questions. Does he still think about me? Was I wrong to leave? Is he with someone else now? The power has shifted. And not because he played the game better, but because he stopped playing entirely. This is the test. And he passed it. Not with pride, not with ego, but with freedom. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I am in control. Part 9. The final shift. Becoming truly unbreakable. It didn't happen all at once. There was no grand finale, no tear-filled epiphany under the moonlight. Just one quiet morning in Asheville, North Carolina, mist curling over the Blue Ridge Mountains, a mug of black coffee in hand, and the realization he was free. Not because she texted, not because she apologized, not because she came back. She didn't, and he didn't care. There were no more butterflies at the sound of her name, no more flinching at memories tucked between love songs and street corners. No more searching crowds for her face or checking the time, wondering what she might be doing. She no longer held weight. Not because he erased her, but because he outgrew her. This was the final shift, the moment when the past lost its grip and became just that, the past. He didn't need closure. He didn't need answers. he didn't need her to feel regret, because by now his life was louder than any apology she could ever offer. His peace more powerful than any text she might one day send. And that's what truly broke her. Not the silence, not the distance, but the fact that she had become irrelevant. She thought she'd always linger in his heart, that no matter where life took him, part of him would still hold space for her. A soft light left on, a door left slightly ajar, but when she looked back, that door was gone. Not slammed, not locked, just no longer there. Because the man she once knew, the one who would have waited for years just to hold her hand again, he didn't exist anymore. In his place stood someone different, still, calm, unshakable, the kind of man who doesn't chase, doesn't prove, doesn't look back. And that's the truth people don't talk about. Healing isn't loud. It's not a declaration. It's not something you post online. It's quiet, private, and complete. And once it arrives, the past becomes nothing more than a soft echo, a lesson, a shadow that no longer moves when you turn to face it. He had become unbreakable, not because he was hard or cold, but because he no longer needed anything to hold him together. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I never look back. Part 10. The New Reality. A Life on His Terms. Somewhere along Route 66, beneath a blazing Arizona sky, he drove with the windows down and the past behind him. No more questions, no more what-ifs, no more waiting for closure that would never come. Because this was his new reality. A life not shaped by heartbreak, not built on revenge, but carved slowly, carefully on his own terms. He no longer cared where she was or who she was with, whether she regretted leaving, whether she ever truly understood what she gave up. Because understanding, that was never his responsibility. What mattered now was this version of him, the one who wakes up without a weight in his chest, the one who walks into rooms and doesn't scan them for ghosts, the one who no longer builds himself for someone else's return. He had become his own destination. He didn't need to be admired. He didn't need to be loved to feel whole. Because real peace, the kind that lingers even in silence, it comes when you no longer need anything from the people who once hurt you. That's what she never expected. She thought he'd always leave the light on, that there would always be a little part of him that belonged to her. But when she finally looked back, he was already too far gone to follow. Not because he ran, not because he blocked her, but because he had risen so quietly, so steadily, that by the time she noticed, she was no longer even part of the story. He didn't rewrite himself out of spite. He simply wrote a new chapter, one she wasn't in. And that is the true power move. Not bitterness, not erasure, just elevation. Because when you live a life that doesn't revolve around being chosen, you become the kind of man no one forgets. Not because of the pain you caused, but because of the peace you created. And now she doesn't haunt his thoughts. She doesn't linger in his dreams. She doesn't hold space in his heart. She is nothing more than a line in a book he no longer reads. And he is unstoppable. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. I am unstoppable.